Hello, it's Simon Zutshi here, and in this video, I'm going to be talking about the interest rate rises to 4.25%, the Bank of England base rate. I'm going to talk about the impact on you and your property investing and what you need to do about what's going on right now. I'm also going to share with you why it's so important for you to keep updated with what's happening in the property market so you can adapt and make the most of the current opportunities. So I've been investing in property since 1995. I became an HMO landlord back in 1998. That's 25 years ago. I'm the author of Property Magic, the Amazon #1 property bestseller, currently in its 6th edition. And I'm also the founder of the Property Investors Network. Now, that's the largest and longest running network for property investors in the UK. We've been running 20 years now. And what that means is I've got my ear to the ground all around the UK. We hear what's going on at a grassroots level before anybody else, literally months before anyone else. So if you want to get the latest updates on what's happening in the UK property market, I highly recommend you subscribe to this YouTube channel and click on the bell icon so you get notified whenever we bring out a brand new video. We do a couple of videos every single week. We do different ones, do updates like this. We do inspirational case studies, which build your belief and help you learn. I do topic related ones on hints and tips. So there's lots of great content here. I'll go and check out the other videos if I were you. But this particular video, I want to talk about interest rates. Now, in February 2022, we saw the first kind of rise in interest rates, and it's been happening steadily over 22. We had the Liz Gates, the Liz Trust or Liz Gates, as I call it, disastrous budget in the autumn of 2022, and rates jumped up. There was a very bad reaction to that budget, and they've stayed high. They went recently up to 4% and now up to 4.25%. So why has this happened? Well, inflation is still going up. The Bank of England historically has used interest rates as a macroeconomic tool to control inflation. So when inflation goes up, which is the cost of living, what happens is the Bank of England rises interest rates, or increases interest rates, so that businesses contract and slow down. Things become more expensive for people, so people look after their money a bit more. They don't spend as much, which helps inflation to come down. So that's typically what's happened in the past. However, it doesn't seem to be working right now. Inflation, surprisingly, went up last month. It's now well over 10%. And so this is a concern for many, many people. If you read the press, think about general public, oh God, high inflation is really bad. Actually, high inflation is good for us as property investors. Let me very quickly explain why. First of all, we generally borrow money from a bank to buy an investment property. We might put some of our own money in, but we borrow money. And we might do an interest-only mortgage for, let's say, £200,000 now, and in 20 years' time, you have to pay that £200,000 back. Now, that over time, prices go up thanks to inflation. So rents go up, values of properties go up as well. So whilst the property value and our rents are going up over time because of inflation, the amount of money we've actually borrowed remains the same. It's still £200,000. So in real terms, inflation is devaluing the amount of debt we have. £200,000 is a lot more now than it will be in 20 years in terms of buying power. So inflation is actually good for us as property investors. So it's really important to make sure you're not being taken in by what's happening in the press and the thoughts of the general media. We don't think like normal people as property investors. We think differently, and things are different for us, okay? So that's a very important thing. That's why you should subscribe to YouTube channels like this and hit the bell icon to make sure when these kind of videos come up, we're getting you thinking in the right way, like a successful investor, instead of thinking like a homeowner, which is how most people in the UK and around the world actually think. So what does it actually mean with interest rates going up? Now, some people think all landlords, all property owners are going to have a problem. That's not true. So there are 3 different types of people I want to talk about. First of all, there's people who have variable mortgages. Now, these go up and down according to changes in the Bank of England base rates. But for those people who have home mortgages or investment properties on a variable mortgage, this latest increase to 4.25% is bad news, because it means they're spending more and more money on their mortgage. And there are going to be some landlords who have properties where the mortgage is so high now that the interest they pay each month is more than the rent coming in. So they're not making any cash flow on their property. In fact, they might even have to subsidize that property. However, the biggest problem here is what I call the double whammy, the time bomb that's been waiting for property investors. And that is that because of Section 24, which was introduced in April 2017 and phased over 4 years, now fully in place, as property investors, if we own property in our own name, which the vast majority of property investors did before 2017, and if you have mortgages, which again, most investors have, and if you're a higher rate taxpayer, now not all property investors are higher rate taxpayers, but many of them are. So if you have properties in your own name, high rate taxpayer, and you have mortgages, you're affected by Section 24. What it means is you're going to pay a lot more tax on your property income. Now, listen to what I just said there. Property income, not property profit. I've just said that many landlords are not going to be making a profit in terms of cash flow. However, because they've changed the way they calculate tax, on paper, they are making a profit, which means at the end of the financial year, those landlords will have to pay tax to the taxman. So not only are they not making cash flow now, maybe even subsidizing property, they're going to have to pay tax on that phantom profit. So this means for many people, it's a bad time if they've got variable mortgages. Now, what can you do about variable mortgages? Well, maybe what many landlords are doing are selling property. They think, you know what, I've had great growth over the last 12 years. Maybe I should sell up, take out the capital, and do something else with it. So we're seeing lots and lots of landlords selling their properties. Some people are moving to LLPs and then into limited companies. It's a way of kind of minimizing your tax. And in a company, you're not affected by Section 24. So certainly some landlords are doing that. Some landlords are refinancing their properties because they've got a lot of equity and they can do that. But there are some landlords who they just can't do it. The rent multiplier needed on the remortgage is so high, they can't remortgage. They've got this real problem, okay? Now, the final thing you can do is if you've got a single let property, maybe you can repurpose it to something like an HMO, a house of multiple occupation, which is a great strategy in times of recession, which we're in right now, or even something like short-term rentals, such as serviced accommodation, which is another very high cash flow property. So if you're stuck with a property that's not giving you enough money right now, maybe repurpose it to increase the cash flow, and then the interest rates and even Section 24 are not such of a problem. So that's what you can do if you've got variable mortgages. Now, a lot of people have fixed rate mortgages. It means their mortgage is fixed for a period of time. So for those people, they have no problem right now. However, when it comes to the end of that fixed rate period, they're going to have to remortgage and they'll have the same problems that people are having right now. Now, most people believe that interest rates are actually coming down. When we speak to mortgage lenders, despite this a quarter of a point increase in the Bank of England base rate, many mortgage lenders have actually adjusted down the rate at which you can get mortgages because they believe the rate's going to come down. That's based on what we call the swap rates, which is the amount it costs banks to actually borrow money. So it looks like rates are going to come down short term, but at the moment we've had this little bit of an extra spike. And then finally, there's a group of people who don't have mortgages. About 25% of properties in the UK are unencumbered, what we call mortgage free. Now, maybe they're a landlord who's paid it over time, or they're homeowners who just pay down their mortgage before retirement, or it's an inherited property where, again, the mortgage was paid off. So for them, interest rates are not a problem. But some of those people might still want to sell. We have landlords looking to retire. We have people who inherit properties. It's the other side of the country. They don't really want it. They don't want to become a landlord, so they look to sell those properties. But right now in the market, we've seen property prices come down. Whereas before, in 21 and 22, we definitely had a buyer's market, sorry, a seller's market, where there are more buyers than there are sellers. Right now, in 2023, it is what we call a buyer's market. There are more sellers than there are buyers. Now, that's for a couple of reasons. First of all, because of the difficulty getting mortgages right now, because the interest rates are high, the affordability checks for people buying their own homes are high, the stress tests for investors buying properties are also high, There are people who want to buy property, but those sales are falling through because they can't get the mortgage. And that's one of the main reasons why sales do fall through. In the UK, the national statistic is 1 in 3 sales fall through. It's actually 36%, according to the Office of National Statistics. I believe right now it's probably more like 1 in 2 sales are falling through, 50%, because people can't get the finance. So what does that mean? Well, a couple of things. First of all, imagine all those people who've had a sale fall through. If you've ever sold a property before, as I have many times, it's a very stressful thing. It's really good news when you get someone who says they want to buy, pay the price you want. It's all moving forward. And then you get that call one morning, either from your solicitor or your estate agent, saying the sale has fallen through. It's really quite depressing. You're back to square one. You've got to start marketing the property again. People got to view. You've got to negotiate. It's real pain. And a lot of people have mentally moved on. They spent the money. They've moved on with their life. And yet this is pulling them back. So those sellers become more motivated, more flexible, and open to either a lower price or some flexibility on the sale, such as a purchase lease option or even vendor finance, which means you don't have to put a lot of your money in. So although if you listen to the general public and the media, oh, now's a terrible time to invest, because we've got more motivated sellers, right now is one of the very best times you should be looking to invest. However, many property investors, particularly new and amateur investors, are waiting. So one other thing that's happening in the market, the reason we've got this buyer's market right now, is many of the usual buyers, the investors, they're scared. They're standing back. They're waiting. They don't know what's happening because markets are coming down, and we've had the market growing for the last 12 years. They don't know what to do. They're scared. So this means there are less buyers in the market, which means there's even more opportunity for you. So as long as you're educated, as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're holding the property long-term and you're following the golden rules that we talk about in Property Magic, now is a great time to be investing. But you need to keep up to date with what's happening in the property market. And obviously watching these videos is a good idea. I have a Property Magic podcast that comes out every Tuesday. It's completely free. I recommend you subscribe to that as well. There'll probably be a link in the notes below this video. But also, you should get yourself along to the Property Investor Network meetings. I said at the beginning, Property Investor Network, there are 50 meetings around the country. Most of them are physical. Some of them are virtual. You can find out details, all of them, at www.pinmeeting.co.uk, pinmeeting.co.uk. And the reason you might go to a networking meeting is, first, we get to connect with other like-minded people who are also interested in investing. Your family, your friends, people at work, they don't really understand property investing, and they might be nervous about investing right now. And what you don't want is people talking in your ear, negging you out and putting you off investing right now. If you know what you're doing and do your due diligence and research, now is such a great time. So you need to get around other like-minded people, and Property Investor Network monthly meetings is a great way to do that. Also, you're going to meet other people who are actively investing in your area, and seeing what they're doing is going to build your belief. It's going to inspire you to make you realize absolutely it is possible to find great deals in the area right now, particularly right now. We have great speakers who talk about what they've done and their strategies. You can learn from other people's success, be inspired by that, and also avoid the mistakes that they made by learning from their mistakes. So that's a really important thing. So I really encourage you to go along to your local PIN meeting. It's like £20 to attend. It's absolutely nothing compared to the value you gain. But if you've never, ever been before, you can actually use a voucher code, which is YouTube. Use the code of YouTube. So go to pinmeeting.co.uk, select your local meeting, scroll down to the bottom page where you normally pay your £20. And if you've never been before, go to pay with a voucher code, click on that, fill in this and put in the code YouTube, and actually come to your very first meeting completely free, just to check it out and see what you've been missing out on. If you're not based in the UK, we have a global PIN meeting the first Wednesday of the month, and some of our PIN meetings are virtual, so you can participate. Or maybe you're investing in an area that's not your normal area, and actually you can do that by participating at the virtual meetings, or ideally go to a physical meeting close to you. So I really would encourage you to come and check out your local PIN meetings. Come as our guest if you've never been before. Pay attention to the interest rate rises at the moment. There might be further interest rate rises before we see them coming down. It's all about whether the government can get inflation under control. I think inflation is going to be here for a little while yet, but I do also believe that we're going to see interest rates come down in 2024. This is a short-term problem, but also it means there's a short-term opportunity because people are going to have problems right now that they need to solve. You should be getting out there, speaking to sellers, particularly where a sale has fallen through. Speak to landlords that might be looking to retire or get out the game. There's a huge amount of opportunity for you if you're ready to take action. I'm going to be doing some more videos over the next couple of weeks, specifically about how you can make the most out of the 2023 property market. So look out for those videos. There's probably another video lined up for you to watch as well. Click on the links below in the description to find out about the Property Magic podcast and also come along to your next PIN meeting. By the way, if you book at least 72 hours in advance, we have an amazing prize we give away at each PIN meeting every month. It's a different prize every month. Further training with us. People normally pay thousands of pounds for this training, but if you're the lucky winner at a PIN meeting, you get it completely free of charge. So come and book into your local PIN meeting. If you've been before, you know how amazing they are. If you've not been, well, come and find out what you've been missing out on. Even if you're international, click on some of the virtual ones and come and participate. So that's it from me. I, as ever, encourage you to invest in knowledge, invest for skill. See you on the next video. I do hope you got massive value from watching this YouTube video. I'd encourage you to click on the link below to come and do the online training with me. And I've got another video lined up for you, which I think is also going to be really useful that you should watch once you've registered for the online training with me. So invest with knowledge, invest with skill. I'll see you very soon.